All right, so let's talk about graph engineering today. And if you have been anywhere near LinkedIn in the last couple of weeks, your feed is probably full of this stuff: graph engineering, loop engineering, agent harness engineering, and people throwing all three around like they mean the same thing. But they don't. They're three completely different things. And then on top of that, you have got GraphRAG showing up and graph analytics and BigQuery graph all in the same conversation. So, yeah, it gets confusing pretty quickly, and I don't really blame anyone for tuning out at that point. So, here's the plan for today. I will go through what all of these actually are, including GraphRAG and Graph Analytics, so you can spot those and put them one side. But mostly, I want to properly separate the three that keep getting mixed up, which is graph engineering, loop engineering, and agent harness. And of course, the fun part would be the demo. So what I've done is I've actually built an app using Google Agent Development Kit and all of these three different techniques. And that's the thing that will actually show you the difference. So we will have the same model, same question, but three different shapes. And by the third one, you will watch how it stops itself right in the middle of a run and asks me for permission before it saves anything. And that is the Graph Engineering 101 for you. And if you're meeting for the first time, hey, I'm Surya. I have 2 decades of experience in leading AI and ML teams in big tech, and I make videos like these every single week. So if that's what excites you and you want to learn, please do hit that subscribe button. A quick disclaimer before we get into the demos: all opinions are my own and do not belong to my employer. All right, with that, let's get into it. So before we get into the demo, let me clear up the easy ones first, because these are the two that show up in your feed and have nothing to do with graph engineering. First one is GraphRAG. Normally, when you do retrieval from a RAG perspective, you have got a pile of documents and you search them by similarity, and you get back the chunks that actually look like your question, the question that you have asked. GraphRAG actually stores the facts instead of the chunks: people, companies, products, and how they're connected to each other. And then the agent actually walks those connections to the answers, which matters when actually the question needs a couple of hops, as in this customer at this account and this contract. So similarity search tends to fall apart on that kind of question, but GraphRAG doesn't. Now, the second one is graph analytics. That's just running math over a network to find things out. Who's the most connected node? Which accounts cluster together? What's the shortest path between 2 points? And the use cases are your fraud rings, your supply chains, your recommendation engines, your customer 360. This has been around for a long time and it has got nothing to do with agents at all. Now, you can combine all of this to make your graph engineering much more powerful. So if you want me to do a proper video on either of those, let me know in the comment section, because I would honestly enjoy building that one. All right, so quick definitions of the three real ones. And of course, we're going to get into much more detail after this, starting with the agent harness. The agent harness is actually everything around the model: the tools, the memory, the permissions, and the record of what it did. So the combination of all of this is called the harness. Now, the loop is actually doing the work, checking the work, and going again until something or someone says stop. That someone could be an agent or a human. And the graph is what's allowed to happen next: what runs when, what waits for what, and where a person has to sign off before anything goes out. Harness, loop, graph. And I'm going to take them in that particular order. Okay. All right. So I am on the Managed Agents API page on Anthropic, and you can see right here what they are calling it. So pre-built configurable agent harness that runs in managed infrastructure. You can see that it has got 4 things. So which is the agent, the model plus its tool, the environment, the sandbox it runs in, the session, what it remembers, and the events that it records. So that is what really an agent harness in totality is all about. And this is the one from a Google's perspective. This is the managed agents on the Gemini API, which gives you a configurable agent harness. A single API call actually provisions the Linux sandbox, where the agent can reason, execute code, and manage files and browsers the web autonomously. So that is what the agent harness means from a Google perspective. And you can actually see this live in your AI studio. So this is the anti-gravity agent preview, and you can see all the different types of tools that it has got access to. And you can also specify the environment. You can also add source. You can also add your own rules and stuff like that. So this is pretty much in detail of when we say the agent harness. And the best and the biggest example of agent harness is anti-gravity. Anti-gravity itself is an agent harness because it has got access to the large language models, which is over here. Then it has got access to all the tools. It has got a browser. It has got search capabilities, CP. So this, a combination of all of this is actually a harness. So that's the first one, which is your agent harness. Okay. I hope this is super clear. All right. So here is the app that I built. It's a YouTube creator co-pilot kind of an app. Think of a creator like myself. So you give it a video idea, it writes a one-line framing recommendation, and it saves that to a file. So the point here is there are three different levels that I'm going to show. The first one talks about the baseline level, which is the harness. The second one talks about how we will introduce loop. And the third one talks about how we will actually have the graph being introduced here. So I basically have these three techniques here. So you can see that this is version one, which is the harness. This is the loop, and this is the graph. So all of this is actually built on Google ADK, and that is what I wanted to show. I will also show you all of this in Google ADK Web as well, so that you can see the development side of the house. Okay. Maybe before that, like just a quick understanding of the definitions. So the harness is where you're asking a question. So it starts and then it goes to this one agent and this just writes the answer. So it has got all the tools and it has got all the large language model and everything, but there is no validation. There's no check. If the model hallucinates, then it hallucinates. Now, this is where the loop happens. So there is a validator in the between, and that validator could be an agent. And if there is a problem, then it will go back in a loop and it will try back again. So again, same node, same model, but then the technique is different. And level three is graph, where you will actually have validator plus a human in between. So the human actually approves it, and then and only then it will write to the end one. So that is the core difference when it comes to these three levels. All right, so let me ask this particular question. So give me a framing recommendation for a video about Graph AI. So the kind of video that we are making. So you can see that it has received the prompt, and you can also see the log, which is happening over here. So it creates the draft node, and then it is going to write it back. And you can see the answer over here as well. So you can see the complete log, and it has saved to the recommendation file. This is what it has done. So pretty straightforward. And the idea here is to explain you that if you ask a question like this to a harness without any validation, without any loops, it is going to do the job. But if the model hallucinates, then it hallucinates. What we can also do is look at the agent development kit web version to just see how, if I ask the same question, what is the response over here? So I built the app just to explain you in a nicer manner. But if you just wanted to see this here, you can see the flow here. So start, draft node, and then write. Write is basically the code. Draft is where you're actually calling the LLM. And then it has written the answer, and this is the answer which it has written. So that's the first piece. Now, if I go to the second one, you can already see that there is a decision mode. And I'm going to ask the same question over here. And now you will see that it will draft, but then it is going to wait for another agent. And this is the second agent which I was talking about. So now Gemini is actually validating, and based on the validation, it will either go forward or it'll go back. And you can see here, it actually rejected this missing required framing. So there is a backward edge which it is doing. So it is drafting the recommendation once again, and it is going to forward this. And this is what is really called a loop. So now you can see that once it passes, it has passed the format that, okay, it is satisfied. It is now going to write the recommendation. So this is really the loop in action. So if I expand on the log, you can see all of these actions that have taken place and are continuing to do so till it is actually writes back. What I can do is actually go to the ADK web and show you the same thing live here so that you can see the actual actions taking place on the agent side. So now this will again ask another agent. So you can see here, there is a loop which happens, and you can see a bit of an edge here as well, whether it will fail or not. And based on that, this is the validator node. There are 6 events that happened. You can see multiple events that have happened, and then it has written it down. Now, the last portion is where you have human in the loop. So I'm going to ask the same question all over again, but it is going to first draft the note, then use the Gemini reviewer, and then it will then wait for a human in order to provide the approval. So you can see that the agent reviewer actually reviewed and rejected the first attempt. Now it is going back and it is redrafting, and then it is going to go back to the agent as now here we go. Now I'm the human. So it is waiting for me to approve to proceed. So I'm going to say, okay, approve. And then and only then it is going to write this recommendation.md and proceed to write. So that is the graph engineering really. And again, let me show you on the ADK side of the house. Here, there are multiple stages that are happening. Validator, which is the agent, and the approval framing from the human. So I'm just going to say yes, and then it is going to write back. So it is so fast in the agentic world. I just slowed it down so that we can understand it. But I'm hoping that this whole thing made sense. So now you just saw in action the harness, the loop, and the graph engineering all together. Of course, the stuff that I explained you in the beginning of the video, which is GraphRAG and graph analytics and all of those things, you can always use all of that to make your data for the agent much more richer and better. But what you just saw is the actual graph engineering in action. Okay. So I hope this was helpful. It clarified some of the things. If you have got any questions about this, please ask me on the comment section of the video. And if you're new here, please hit that like button and subscribe. And if you're an existing subscriber, please hit that like button so that I'm aware that this is helpful to you. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.